How I got revenge on my cheating wife. I'm a second lieutenant in the armed forces, and this is how I took revenge on my wife for cheating. A little background to start. I was 32 when I took my revenge, but let's go back 15 years and tell you how this all started. I had a girlfriend in high school, and we were solid. I thought I loved this girl right up to graduation. I signed up for the armed forces and was leaving soon for boot camp. My girlfriend was not happy with my decision to join the military, so she broke up with me. Let's move forward 4 years. I'm stationed at a base in Southern California. I am an IT specialist. I get sent to remote locations all over the world setting up temporary command centers. I would show up right after the troops secured a location. Myself and a group of 7 or 8 other IT members would set up the networks. And 2 or 3 would stay and maintain the system. I would return home. I was checking my personal email account one day. I had a message from my HS girlfriend. She was moving to Southern California. She was asking me to help her find a place to stay. I was thinking it's our second chance. I asked if she wanted to share an apartment with me. I was looking to move out of the barracks and get off base. She said it would have to be a 2-bedroom. I agreed. Plans were made and I found an apartment. The following month she moved in. We started living together. I showed her the base, the city we lived near, and all the local attractions. She got a part-time job as a sandwich maker at a local deli. She made the move to go to the university in the nearby city. She got all her classes lined up and school started. We did everything together. One night when I got home, she had dinner made. While she tried, it was so bad we had to go to a cafe that night. Over time she got better as a cook and our friendship turned into a relationship. She was 5 feet 8 inches and on the thin side, brown hair, brown eyes, and cute dimples. Her dimples were noticeable slightly until she smiled, and then they were so pronounced it was a highlight that just made her adorable. My job has taken on a new level, and I am now involved in counterintelligence. No, it was all done through computers. I still went out when setting up the temporary networks as before. I would have to travel once a month most times, but sometimes it would be more. The problem was I never knew where or when until the last minute. My GF and I had been together as a couple for 2 years. I decided to ask her to marry me. I had the ring and took her to our favorite restaurant. I had already asked them to make us a special dinner. It was so romantic when I got down on one knee and proposed. When she accepted, the restaurant went nuts. We had so many people trying to buy us drinks, but me and GF, now fiancé, didn't drink alcohol. We thanked them and politely declined. We had a great wedding. Our families were able to attend. It was such a grand event and so special, I will never forget that day. Let's now move to last year. Me and my wife have been married for 4 years and I was still doing the same job, and she had graduated from the university. She found a job as a law clerk. She would work 3 to 4 days a week and spend the rest of the time at home. We bought a house soon after we married because of a wedding gift from my parents. It was money for a down payment. We had a nice 3-bedroom home and my wife and I both took one of the spare bedrooms as our personal spaces. I set mine up as a home office. She made hers into a guest bedroom so when her siblings or parents showed up, they had a place to stay. My parents never came out and I had no siblings, so it was all her room. When I went off for my IT network setups, my wife would FaceTime me every night with her phone, and most times it worked but was expensive due to being overseas, so I bought her a PC and placed it into her spare room. I put a camera on it, clipped it onto the monitor. I wrapped all the cables to make it look nice. I had put myself as the administrator. Because of my job I knew how to set permissions and other things most people didn't know how to access. Now she could FaceTime me while she was at home without holding the phone. It was about 3 months later, and I went off to an unknown location for a setup. When I returned, I went into her spare room and was about to run an update on her PC. Then I noticed the camera cable had been untied and the cable was extended behind her PC. When we FaceTimed, the camera was always stationary. This sent me a red flag. Who is she FaceTiming with, and why did she need to move the camera? My counterintelligence kicked in and I placed a keylogger on her PC and set up all her deleted files to be copied and sent to my PC. On her PC it would look like they had been deleted. I placed remote access to my laptop, and when she was online, I could see everything she was doing. She was unaware I did any of these things. I didn't even tell her about the update. This is how it all started. 3 weeks later, I went on another military trip and set up the command center and was FaceTiming my wife, and the cameras was I had set it up, stationary on the monitor. We talked, then closed the call. I opened my laptop and watched as she went online and started chatting with some guy. I got called away to check on an issue with the network, and by the time I returned, her call was over. It had taken me 2 hours to fix the issue, so I wasn't surprised. When I returned home, I went back to her PC and logged in as her. I knew the password from being the administrator. I found that she had social app icons on her desktop. I opened one to find my wife there, in all her glory, nothing left to the imagination, not one picture but hundreds, as well as a link to private chats and videos that were for purchase. She had a PayPal icon and I clicked on it. She has set it up to remember her ID and password, so I just had to click it to be logged in. She showed a lot of money coming into her account. I then seen the icon from a bank we didn't use, so again, she had it set with the Remember Me checked. I logged in and her account had $67,000 in it. I went back and checked the private chat site, and my wife was self-pleasuring herself in videos and selling them as well as private chats for $29.99 an hour. She had a whole business on the side of our marriage. I closed everything up and left the room and went into my office and checked her deleted file I had set to be copied on my PC. She was having sex with guys in that room and was selling the videos online to other subscribers to her site. She would delete them after 2 weeks. I had proof of cheating and not just showing herself to the men. I had all I needed, but I wanted revenge and I wanted it to hurt badly. She came home from work, I said nothing, we went on as normal, as I figured out what I was going to do. The next weekend she had taken a trip to see her parents and I had the house to myself and started planning and plotting my revenge. First thing I did was go on her PC and I went online to her private chat site and made a fake post as her. I am having a special raffle, and if you donate $100 in my PayPal you have a chance to win a night with me. All you need to do is pay the money in PayPal and send me a chat with your personal information and phone number. If you win, I will text you or I can just DM you from this site. Please let me know. This will only be open for the next 12 hours and you must be local. He placed in the city name. The PayPal account just started blowing up and she started receiving chats telling her they were in and included all the information, phone numbers and email accounts where they could be notified if they won. My plan was underway. The county fair was up and running, so Sunday I went not to have fun, but to find the fun house with all the mirrors that were set up as a maze. I went through it several times and had the floor plan laid out in my mind. I went back home and text or sent a DM to each guy that paid for a ticket. It told them they had won a special night with her. The DM instructed them to meet her at the county fair at 9 p.m. on Saturday night. She would be in the fun house in the mirror maze and to find her. Then they would go to a hotel she had already set up for their prize. They all replied they would be there. I erased all the information I had created and looked like she hadn't been on her site for the weekend. When she returned home, I said nothing but to ask if we could go the county fair on Saturday. I didn't want her to make any other plans. She said that sounds like fun and said yes. Things were about to get crazy, I just couldn't wait but held strong. Saturday afternoon we went to the fair and watched the horse races, ate some food and listened to music. Altogether it was a great time. As we got closer to 9 p.m. I kept us moving towards the mirror maze. I convinced her to go in with me and at 8:50 we entered and I separated from her immediately and walked out as all the guys started showing up for their dates with my wife. You could see from the outside when one found her then the next. She was so lost that when she exited there were 10 guys walking up to her and starting to ask questions. I moved out into the crowd and watched for a few minutes, then I went to my car leaving her and all her private chat buddies yelling at her. I may have started a riot. I got home and my phone had not stopped ringing or chirping from receiving texts from her. Were all basically, "Where are you, did you leave me?" I immediately went on to her PC and put in new background pictures of her, sleeping with other guys in that room. I placed it on scroll, locked it out so she couldn't change it. Then I changed her password and made it so she didn't have the ability to change that either. I took her stuff from the master and placed it into her spare room and put a new key lock on my bedroom door. I just sat on the couch and waited. A few hours went by, and she finally made it back to the house. She was screaming at me saying, "Why the hell did I leave her there?" I replied, "Did you have fun with all your chat buddies?" Her face went white. All the blood left her and she just stood there and said nothing. I told her I knew everything, and she would have to sleep in her spare room. I told her I had already moved all her crap in there. I couldn't kick her out, she was on the title. But I sure can make her life hell. She went into her room and 5 minutes later came out and said her PC wouldn't take her password. I giggled and told her I changed it. She asked what is the new password. I sat up and looked at her and said lying cheating bitch of a wife, all in caps, no spaces. That sent her into a rage. She started throwing things and stomping her feet like a child throwing a tantrum. She went back into the room and a couple seconds later, I heard more screams and things getting tossed in there. I guess she just seen her new PC background. I smiled. She was in there all night and the next morning, she came out and asked why she couldn't change the background. I was smiling and said, I took that right away from you. Then she asked how to change the password and I repeated, I took that right away from you. I told her that I had already contacted a lawyer and I'm getting the divorce papers ready. She may want to find herself one. All the blood left her and she just stood there and said nothing. I told her I knew everything, and she would have to sleep in her spare room. I told her I had already moved all her crap in there. I couldn't kick her out, she was on the title. But I sure can make her life hell. She went into her room and 5 minutes later came out and said her PC wouldn't take her password. I giggled and told her I changed it. She asked what is the new password. I sat up and looked at her and said lying cheating bitch of a wife, all in caps, no spaces. That sent her into a rage. She started throwing things and stomping her feet like a child throwing a tantrum. She went back into the room and a couple seconds later, I heard more screams and things getting tossed in there. I guess she just seen her new PC background. I smiled. She was in there all night and the next morning, she came out and asked why she couldn't change the background. I was smiling and said, I took that right away from you. Then she asked how to change the password and I repeated, I took that right away from you. I told her that I had already contacted a lawyer and I'm getting the divorce papers ready. She may want to find herself one.